Today we're looking at standard RI.6.8, 7.8, and 8.8. Sixth grade says trace, that means to discover and find, and evaluate the argument and specific claims in a text, distinguishing claims that are supported by reasons and evidence from claims that are not. Okay, so the terminology here in our standard, we're talking about claims, and a claim is just a statement that the author believes to be true, and then an argument is something that's debatable, that they're going to give you support to back it up through the passage. So the first question we're going to look at, the author's main claim is that a diet rich in vegetables, whole grains, and beans can help prevent cancer. Which two sentences from the passage best supports the claim? All right, so let's look. First of all, let's look at our question. Okay, I'll make it. Oh no. Okay, I'm looking for two sentences. Okay, and then main claim that it's a diet rich in vegetables, whole grains, and beans can help prevent cancer. All right, and then it tells me best support this claim. All right, so you heard Ms. Hicks read the passage, so let's look at A. We all know many of the benefits of eating different types of foods. Okay, is that a sentence that shows support that it prevents cancer? Okay, let's look at B and see what we think. Some phytochemicals or chemical compounds that occur naturally in plants may help fight cancer. Okay, here's something that we come back and look at. Sometimes you can find the words that are repeated in your answer that were in your question. So fight cancer, prevent cancer, those are similar. So I'm going to underline that because that could easily be one of my choices, okay? Because it talks about fighting cancer, a way to prevent cancer, okay? Even the ancient Romans knew about the health benefits of beans and peas. Does that sentence say anything at all about preventing cancer? No. All right, let's look at D. Studies show that extra body fat can increase the risk of certain cancers. All right, do you see anything there? You would want to circle it. You see cancer again, but it does not talk about preventing cancer, okay? So let's see what E says. Their research shows that there are also cancer-fighting elements in dark chocolate, soy, green tea, and some spices. Okay, look at that, cancer-fighting. That means it's against cancer. It's preventing cancer. So looking back at your choices, which two talk about fighting cancer, preventing cancer? So it would be B and E. And if you look, they're the only two choices that talked about cancer fighting, which comes back to preventing cancer.
And if you'll notice, you read all the answer choices. If you just went through and you just read like A and B and you just said, well, I think those are the answers, and you hadn't continued to read, then you would have not caught where it says cancer fighting. Right. So make sure you read them all and reason before you choose your answers. So, for a 7th grade, question number 1 would be a type of question that you would have to do as well. But let's go back to the standard a moment. If you'll look at the standard for 7th, once again, the same as 6, you're going to trace, which means to discover and find, and evaluate the argument and specific claims in a text. But you have to do something else in 7th. If you'll notice, it says, assessing whether the reasoning is sound. Sound, and the evidence is relevant and sufficient to support the claim. Well, sound, if you're having to have sound evidence, that means, is it based on good judgment? Is there plenty of evidence to back it up? Is it relevant? That means, is it related to the topic? The evidence they give you, does it relate to the claim? Is there sufficient evidence? That means, is there plenty of it? Is there enough evidence to support the claim? So you have to be able to look at those, know those terminology, know that vocabulary, and be able to apply it. So let's go back to the passage. The same passage that Ms. Hicks read earlier. Let's look at question number 2. Ooh, sorry.
I know, you could go on that thing.
Ooh. Number 2, which evidence supports the author's reasoning that foods rich in folate can help prevent cancer? So let's look at our keywords here. We're looking for a evidence that's going to support, well, the reasoning. And what's the author's reasoning here? that foods rich in folate can help prevent cancer. So pretty much this is what he's trying to prove here in this statement, that foods rich in folate can help prevent cancer. So let's look at our answer choices here. A, dried beans and peas, for example, provide a good source of folate. Well, let's look at that statement. Does it talk about how it can help prevent cancer here? Well, it doesn't really give us any ways that it can prevent it, so let's just keep on going and look at B first of all. Folate can help repair damaged cells to help lower the risk of pancreatic cancer. Well, is there any terminant words in there that show how it can help prevent cancer? Well, I saw the word folate, help repair damaged cells. Is that how it can help prevent cancer? Well, maybe. Let's look at C. Folate is also found in broccoli, cauliflower, cabbage, and Brussels sprouts. That's telling us where it's found. Is that telling us how it can help prevent cancer? No. So I know I'm going to eliminate that one for sure. Let's look at D. Even the ancient Romans knew about the health benefits of beans and peas. So it tells us the Romans knew about it, but does it even show us any way of how it's being helpful? No. In fact, this piece of evidence, we could realize this has nothing to do with the claim that folate can help prevent cancer. So this would be considered irrelevant. And this is something you're going to have to, I can't even spell irrelevant right now. Irrelevant. And we know irrelevant means, can't even spell right now, which means it's not related to the claim. It has nothing to do with it. So this should not even be, it would not be in our argument at all. So if we look at our choices, it had to be B because look at B. Helps repair. That's showing how it's going to help prevent
lower the risk.
And help lower the risk as well. So the answer would be B.
Now we're going to go back and look at what the 8th grade has to know for this specific standard. You have to be able to delineate. Thank you. I can never say it. Delineate and evaluate the argument. Now, what does delineate mean? It means to describe precisely. So you've got to describe the argument about the claim. I've messed up.
Just keep going.
Okay, I'm sorry. Let's start over. My train of thought. Okay, so let's look at what the 8th grade has to do. Delineate, which means to describe precisely, and evaluate the argument and specific claims in a text, assessing whether the reasoning is sound and the evidence is relevant and sufficient. Now, this is where you get a little bit different. The delineate is different, but you also have to recognize when there is irrelevant evidence. And like Ms. Swearingen said, irrelevant is not related to the claim. So let's look at 3 and 4. Let's kind of look at this question that they're asking. Which evidence from the article is irrelevant to the author's reasoning that foods containing phytochemicals fight cancer? Well, here, look at your important words here. Again, it's evidence. And what evidence is irrelevant? Now, remember, this article is all about cancer. So let's look at our answer choices. How to prevent cancer. For example, apples contain flavonoids and polyphenols which protect the body cells from damage that can cause cancer. Well, it says almost exactly what this says. They have phytochemicals that fight cancer. So that's not irrelevant. That's relevant. I'm going to put an R by it. Carotenoids found in vegetables such as carrots have similar effects. Okay, well that's still relevant. That goes back to the fighting cancer. These special nutrients may help slow or even stop tumor growth. Well, this is going back to fighting cancer. If you're slowing that tumor growth or stopping it, so that's relevant. Let's look at D. Obviously, this is your answer. Scientists say these chemicals can also help reduce the risk of diabetes. Well, this is irrelevant because we're talking nothing about diabetes. This article is all about fighting cancer, so that's irrelevant. Okay, number 4. Below, put an X by the claim that is supported by get on the anti-cancer diet. So if you look at this, let's look at the claims. A plant-based diet helps prevent cancer by providing low-calorie foods that help with weight control. It's the low-calorie foods do help with weight control, but that's not the best there. So let's just let's put a no, maybe. Scientific studies support the theory that certain foods from plants may help prevent cancer. Now, that's pretty much here's what the whole article talks about. Certain foods from plants may help prevent cancer. So we'll think about that. Nutraceutical foods may someday be more important than human-made drugs in the fight against the cancer. Well, this is talking more, it introduces drugs, so that wouldn't be the best. The best is going to be scientific studies support the theory that certain foods from plants may help prevent cancer. Now, it asks you to go back and find details. Remember, when you're finding these details, you want to find details that are relevant to scientific studies support the theory that certain foods from plants may help prevent cancer.
And when I do a question like this, even if I really think that this is the answer choice, you need to go back, even if there's not a part B that has you prove it, you need to go back and prove it to make sure you know that's the right answer. So I would go back and make sure I went and found evidence in the story that prove that scientific studies support the theory that certain foods from plants may help cancer.
So let's look in here.
And this would help make sure that your answer is right because you want to prove it.
Look in paragraph 2. There's something that's very good in paragraph 2 that helps. Right off, it starts right here. Cancer-fighting properties. Well, that's proving that the certain foods from plants may help prevent cancer.
When it talks about these phytochemicals can help slow down the tumor growth. So already we found 2 examples, and then it talked about how foliate can repair damage to help lower the risk of pancreatic cancer. So if you go on and on, you see all these evidences of where it's showing you that it can help prevent cancer. So obviously from looking at that, all those evidences show us that yes, it would have to be certain foods help prevent cancer.